welcome to podcast number 5. We have two special guests here. One being my brother, Michael Riverol. The other you might know him from our previous Spicy Ramen Challenge, Mr. Sylvin, and my co-host, Mr. Alberto Magana. Michael, tell us a little about yourself.
Good night, everyone. My name is Michael Riverol. I can say that I am an employee of St. Francis Xavier Credit Union, and I am stationed in the Sartineja branch as the branch manager. And thank you, Hazel and Gilberto, for having me today in this episode of this podcast.
Also a future YouTuber. Might open his channel in some few days. You'll get to know, we will share it out.
Yeah, Mike's trying to branch out on his passion for DIYs. I think on what are some of the things that
I'll be doing some welding, some woodwork. Yeah.
What's the slogan? What's the slogan? If a manager can do it, anyone can.
Okay, so the thing about his YouTube, it will be like stuff that you can do at home, let's say a door. But usually when we watch DIYs, they're from USA, and most of the things we don't have it here. His one will be especially for Belizeans using items that we can get here at any local hardware store.
That's the plan.
Okay, so the
Good luck,
first.
Mr. Mike. You got this, man.
Okay, so the first topic of today is the tragedy that happened over the weekend with the police officer and the young boy, Larry. What are your thoughts about that, Mr. Jill?
Yeah. As most of you, well, maybe all of you, right? As Belizeans, I believe all of us should be aware of what's happening, even if it's not as big as this issue. But we know that there is a young man that unfortunately passed away before you could say his time, right? I know a lot of people in town and us as well stopped by the vigil to pay our respects and also to show the support, right, as a community. I know that there was an outroar by the community regarding the charge that was laid down on the police officer, and I want to share some thoughts about that. What do you guys think, though, as on what happened?
Well, based on what you're saying, of course, he was really young for us to say that he's no longer with us, right? We have a lot of persons that are dying young at this moment. We have a lot of incidents happening due to the police as well that are involving the police here in Belize. Sometimes it's sad as well to hear about this. Police are a person that should be helping us here in society, right? Protecting us and not only damaging us. I know that we have a lot of police that are good, but also there are a lot of police that are bad, that are just damaging the image of the good ones, right? Well, it's really sad what's happening right now in Belize.
Mike?
Well, I think it's a very complex situation in the way that it entails, we can say both sides. We can be in the side of the victim, but we can be in the side of the police officer as well. So it's really complex. It's a really sensitive information that it's hard to come up with a logical explanation if we do not have all the facts. We would really need all the facts. We would really need witnesses, and to me it's very sensitive. Of course, it's very sad, but it really entails a lot. It entails from training. It entails everything. So it's really sad. It's really sad.
Complex is actually an accurate.
I remember we were talking about it, and what you said specifically, it has to do with the training that the police get. I saw a post where they have the police regulations, and I think it was like number 7 or something. You should never shoot someone that's running away, even if they're armed or not armed, and that's in the police's regulations and rules.
I didn't think that, but that's interesting. Like I said, Mikey is appropriate word. I mean, it's something complex. And just to give you all some context, we want to touch on this topic because four of us, as young people, we believe that it is right for people our age, your age, elder, young, even young teenagers to be aware of what's happened, and also based on the things that what I personally want to share, there is some knowledge that we could all learn from. It is a sensitive topic, right? But there is a couple of things that I wanted to bring on the table for us to understand. And of course, whatever we share is our opinion based on our knowledge, right? Or a personal opinion. And that is what we want to share.
And not to cut you short at the beginning, I didn't want to talk about this topic.
Yeah.
Not because we're not aware of it or because we don't want to, but we don't want the society to think that we will do anything for clout or to get, I don't know, some sort of attention. But we are doing it because it's a very delicate topic in our country, and our plan for this podcast is to bring awareness. So that's why
Right.
we're doing it.
Right. You see internationally as well, right? Us, even though we're small, we have a voice, and we must use that voice not only for the things that we enjoy, which is comedy and the current events, but also to bring awareness on things that are happening here, right? You see internationally when there are news like that, you see podcasts, news stations, even comedy channels take some time to speak because it's about bringing awareness, right? That is as much as we can do. Bring awareness so that people who have the power to make the policies and the laws hear our cries, right? And speaking on the uproar, I don't know if you guys saw that a lot of people were upset about the charge that was laid out on the officer, like the charge for manslaughter. Did you see any of that on Facebook or anything like that?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
I saw that.
Manslaughter is
Like-
below murder, right?
Like if you kill
That's
it
like
without,
a mistake.
like you kill it by mistake. Something like that.
That's like a mistake.
Well, the thing with that is that most of us, because of how sensitive and how we are affected by this, I'm sure all of us would want a different charge. I saw most comments asking for a charge of murder, but it's very important that we're educated about what the law is, right? And like I said, what I'm about to share is my knowledge on the law. It's my opinion, my understanding. But as far as I'm aware and aware doing my proper research, right? Even though, like I said, it's my opinion, it's based on proper research and knowledge. In Belize, we have murder and we have manslaughter, right? I'm sure maybe in the movies or in documentaries you've heard terms such as first-degree murder,
Right.
second-degree murder, third-degree murder. These are terms non-existent in our laws. What we have here in Belize is murder and manslaughter. Now, taking this into consideration, the understanding what murder is very important. Our definition of murder is what is known as premeditated murder. Now that word premeditated is very heavy, right? Premeditated murder or murder means that you planned, right? With malice and intent, you planned to go and do this, right? That is murder. I say, you know what? I am going to do this, and I intend to do that. Right? It's out of malice. It's with intent. Right? Premeditated murder. You plan it in your head. Right? Now, as most of us know, manslaughter is accidental. It's based on with no intent. Right? Non-intent. It is an accidental. I wouldn't say murder, but it's an accidental. Fatality.
Just by accident.
By accident. Right? By accident. It's accidental, no intent. No. The only way that anyone could be charged for murder is if you can prove beyond reasonable doubt, very important terms, that the person shot with intent to kill and planned to kill this person. Now, how do you prove that someone intentionally and willingly wanted to kill a person? There are ways, for example, having a witness, right? If I see someone willingly point a gun, aim, and pull the trigger, I witness this person intentionally by action doing such a thing, or communicating, you know what, I want to do this.
Well, I think maybe the reason why the society is going crazy for the charges because there was a witness, the guy that was there with Laddie. He said that both of them were walking back to their hotel, and when that happened, they ran away because they saw people dressed in black. They didn't know it was the police. They said that the cop shot Laddie, left him on the floor for 10 minutes, and at the same time, they were kicking him and beating him up. And at a point, I think that he said that he got up and he asked how his Laddie, and then tell a boy shut up, and then said beat you up more.
Yeah, but again, does it prove? There is no doubt that the officer shot the young man.
Also, I just saw the post-mortem said that the shot was on the chest.
Yeah, but I'll get to that as well. But going back, I said there is no doubt. Even if I am the boy and I say but I am telling you that this person shot this person. But that is not what is being refuted. Is it with intent or without intent? And can you prove that? I can't prove it. If I as well was running away, did I stop and see, oh, you know what, he intentionally did it because I saw him or I heard him? That's the difficulty with the charge for murder. And again, I think people wanted murder because when it comes to murder, there is no bail. Right? And so maybe some of you are aware or not aware, right? When you are charged for murder, you are sent to prison up to your court date. And that is the victory people wanted. But when that court date arrives and you cannot prove within reasonable doubt that that person shot with intent, you have lost the case.
So let's say that he got murdered, but in the court hearing, he isn't guilty for it. He can still be free and still go out on bail.
If you cannot prove, the charge is murder. So you're charging him for murder. If you cannot prove murder, then there is no case. And again, proving murder means that you, again, within reasonable doubt, no doubt, zero doubt, right, that this person intentionally killed the young man, which is very difficult to prove. What would people prefer? That the man, the police officer is charged for murder, he goes to jail until his court date and is set free? People would not stand for that. But charging with manslaughter, which is, I believe, easier to prove based on his own testimony,
He will still get
or
some
whoever
time.
there, yes, he can apply for bail as he is right now. But when the court date comes, you can't say, there will be evidence that he could present saying, you know what, I unintentionally and accidentally shot this young man. It was not my intent. It was not murder. I accidentally shot this young man.
But he will still get a charge and he can still serve time,
Yes, and based on what the court, the justice presides, then there will be a sentencing that might be more, what could I say, accepted by the people. And that is why it's very important, even though it's upsetting. Manslaughter, no. Manslaughter, can't be manslaughter. He shot him. Yes, he shot him. But there is a reason, right? The person in charge of setting charges is a very intelligent person.
So I guess
they're not there for no reason.
So I guess the word that my brother used in the beginning, complex, is true because in small terms, if right now he gets charged for murder on the court hearing, he can be set free because it wasn't planned out, it wasn't intentionally. On the other hand, because it's manslaughter, he will be charged and he can face some time, right?
Yes. Remember, it's the state that needs to prove your guilt. The state meaning the prosecutor, right? Because when you commit a crime, it is not the crime. Let's say, just for example, someone shot me. That person is going criminally to court not as John. Let's say the person is John versus Gilberto Magana. That is the state versus John versus the state. Because when you are prosecuted criminally, you are going against the state, right? So the state has to prove that the police officer, well, accidentally killed this person, or if the charge was murder, it would be almost, I would say, based on my opinion, almost impossible to prove beyond reasonable doubt that the police officer intended to shoot and kill that. That was almost impossible to prove, which is why I personally believe that manslaughter will give the people justice more than murder. Right? Because when it comes to these things, we have to think by the law, not with fairness or not with what we feel, by the law and what is most appropriate. Right? So that's what I want to share with this. I know it's a really sensitive topic, but like I said, aside from bringing awareness, there are some things that I would want young people like us to understand. Right? Because it's easy to say, oh, that's a murder. No. Murder. Yes, let's think. Let's have a conversation. And let's analyze what's happening truly.
And it's also easy for just like said that the government, loan and tweets, the government this, the government that. It's easy to just show the government.
We're not here on any government side, right? It has nothing to do with corruption. It has nothing to do with any government. It doesn't matter which government. It has to do with what the law has written.
Coming back to what I said about the topic being complex, the reason that it's complex is because of the uncertainty that there is. We do not have video footage. We do not have more than one witness. And I am a firm believer that whenever we encounter situations, we should make improvements and we should find ways on how to improve these things so that in the future we do not encounter the same problem over and over. What I'm trying to say is that as the police department, the government should try to find ways on which we can minimize the uncertainty when these type of things occur. For example, body cams. I think body cams would make a huge difference in the uncertainty, because it's uncertainty that's what creates complexity. If we can minimize uncertainty, the complexity and results could be different. So to me, I believe that could be one of the many priorities that this department can have, not only for the sake of the police department, but also for the sake of the people out there. We can say, oh, this should have happened, that should have happened, but nothing is as good as having it in a footage with voice, images. I think we can beat that. I know we are in a third world country, but we should progress. Even in police vehicles, we should have dash cams. I think we should start to prepare ahead, or we are already in the technology era that getting a dash cam for a police officer is not $1,000. You can get dash cams for probably $100.
$200.
Dash cams for $150, which can save the DPP so much hours, which can save so much criticism. So that could alleviate many problems. And to me, I think there should be new ideas, new things that should be implemented, and I think it would be great.
I don't know if you guys are aware, but you know that some vehicles of the police department are very advanced. But I think it all has to do with professionalism and how those police carry themselves. When I was in third farm, that's like what, like 4 years ago, we went to meeting at Belize, and the police had their booth. They have cars that had dash cams, that have computer systems, that when someone calls, it tracks it immediately and will send the closest police to them. But none of those things are used, and some of those things are misused. Like you see, we get donated so much good vehicles for the department. There's so much advanced stuff, and what happens is 1 month, 2 months, a door is falling off, the bumper is falling off because of professionalism. The police don't take care of it,
And some of them judge it for personal
and that's the thing. At the end, it comes to professionalism, and that's why I said it all leads to the root of the problem. They should get proper training from the beginning.
Um, excuse me, Mike. From what you two guys are saying, those are the two things that I was thinking about, and you guys mentioned it. Police are lacking of training, right? And the next thing is they don't have the equipments to perform their good job. Have you ever guys thought why the government of Belize doesn't give them, instead of giving them guns, why didn't they give them tasers and that's it? Maybe a taser, if they should have used a taser maybe in this boy Ladi, maybe Ladi would got hurt, yes, but not they will not die, right? So all of these things come in mind. Yeah, makes you think. Well, of course, why the police don't get this? Why do the police gets a gun after 1 year of being in the field of their career, right? Why not give them a taser for the first 5 years, and after they show that they are very responsible with it? Okay, now yes, we can call you maybe a senior police. I don't know their ranks. Okay, now you have earned the privilege of getting a gun. But then, of course, they're going to be they're going to be getting training. Now, next thing I would like to mention. Have you guys seen the police nowadays? What do they look? Can you describe me a police right now?
Completely out of shape.
Completely out of shape. You think those police should qualify to be there? Should qualify to be there? That's why they use their gun, because they can't run at the back of the persons, right?
But okay, since you said how they look, their appearance too, in the way they're dressed. Remember what the kid said? They didn't know they were police because those GSU, I think they have like full black suits. And then in the night, or let's say 4 of us are here doing the podcast, we see 4 people dressed in black busting the house. Well, won't we think it's a thief or something? And
I want to touch on a little bit of what everyone is saying. I think what the Mike suggested was really something feasible. Right? Like Mike said, we aren't the most advanced country, but a dash cam or a body cam on each police officer is not something out of this world. Right? We are investing. It's about opportunity cost. Right? We might say, oh, but these are expensive. Okay, how much dollars do you spend trying to discover or come between that doubt and uncertainty?
Exactly.
Probably more, right? Probably more.
Exactly.
So I like what Mike said, and on what Sylvin said, I agree and I disagree. I agree in the part where he said, bringing up the taser. I personally believe that every officer, aside from having a gun, should have a taser. But with the part where I disagree is, I believe every police officer should be armed with condition. Yes, every police officer, I believe, should be armed. So I have heard that police officers are only given 1 day training, gun handling training, right? I've heard some saying we take a month gun training, right? But I saw a really, I don't want to put the name of, I saw a really reliable gun trainer and also gun distributor saying that, you know what, when police officers come to my shop to buy a firearm, I beg them, please, let's just do a quick free training, right? And he said most of them underperform by a lot, right? So what are the requirements for a person, an officer, to get a gun, right? I think every officer should have the right to get a gun, right? Issued by the state at after at least completing thorough training, right? That is what I believe, and with addition of a taser for their discretion, right? Because some situations aren't a gun is necessary,
Yeah.
right? You need to restrain. You can restrain with a taser, right? Some honestly, some you will need to use a gun, right? But there are certain situations where a taser will do just fine. And
Well, what happened over the weekend was very sad. I'm glad that we're bringing awareness of the laws of what we can improve on.
yeah.
Our third topic is youth empowerment. What do you guys? I think this question is specifically for Mr. Hilberto and Mr. Sylvin, since they're teachers,
Educators.
they're educators. You guys are the ones that deal with the younger generation, and you guys can be the reason that someone can become successful in the future.
Yeah, that's true. Well, as you guys know, I have already mentioned to you, right? I have been a standard 6 teacher for the past 2 years. And being in standard 6, I get to know those students. I get them by the age of 12. The students are by the age of 12, 13, 14, right? We already know that they're no longer kids. They're teenagers. Their mind is already thinking different. What I do in the class, because I know that being a teacher is a very big responsibility. I know that I have the students with me. I have young individuals that can make a change here in Belize. So they are the ones that are going to bring the change in our country. And I always tell them the change that we need it will come from you guys. And I do trust that you guys are going to do something. I wouldn't like it
I
to
feel
be.
empowered right now.
I wouldn't like it to be a citizen that how can I say it? That's worthless, right? We want good citizens in our country, productive, right? And I always tell them that. Now, but of course, my principal he always tells me and advises me. You know what? They are already in standard 6. They are going out of this institution, and we're not only preparing them academically, but we want to prepare them in their discipline. Talk to them a lot. Let them know what in reality, what's outside there, what is really the world, right? Because they're just in primary school. Now they're getting to know high school, and you guys know that high school is completely different than primary school.
They're
So,
exposed to more stuff.
yeah, they're exposed to more stuff, and I always I give them a lot of advice and try to motivate them not to give up in anything. Try to make them give their best in anything that they want to do, right? And honestly, being a teacher can be said that it is a privilege, because at the end of the day, I am helping to change the future for many students, right? And not only in primary school, but also in sixth form. By having them in sixth form, I already know that they are young adults, right?
I almost had cry with this speech right now. Honestly, I had to tell her about the whole scene because
the heart.
I
Don't clarify, you said it.
won't be crying.
No, well, you know, well, being in sixth form as well is the next thing. They are very young adults. That's the time when they can do actions to change the world now. So I think that it's not only the job of teacher, but guys, from who do you think should help the teachers in making these young individuals productive citizens?
From whom?
From home, as okay. And next one is
Community.
community, exactly. So those three things.
Mother,
Hey, I'm gonna come in a class just so. Deep in a class, answer so much.
These three things, these three factors play a very important role. Okay, so it's not only the job of teacher, it's not only the job of the parents, but also the environment where this kid is coming out from. A kid that is grown up where we can say, let us say, a kid that's grown here in Corozal will have different abilities. Now, a kid that's grown in village, they will think different, they will perform different.
Not just different abilities, but different. What's the word? Like
Skills, mentality.
no. What's just continue. I'm trying to remember. Like things that keep you back. Different.
challenges.
Different challenges.
Yeah, that's true. They have different challenges as well.
Like some kids. Okay, me that I live close. I had to wake up like half an hour before to get ready. Some kids have to wake up an hour before.
Or
Some kids don't have money for lunch. Different challenges. Different
And also
challenges.
people being in high school, even in sixth form, some of the students are from Sardineja,
They have to-
Progreso, right? They have class at 8.
Oh, and there is a beautiful road to travel.
And there is a
from
beautiful road and a very efficient ferry, right? That is always reliable that they have to
Always.
get.
Alriys.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What about you, Mike?
Okay. I think we are in two different stages in our youth life. We have the school and we have sixth farm. I would say that whenever I give examples, whenever I give advice or I try to illustrate something, I like to give examples.
Not only you, me too.
I would like to see that somebody's life is somewhat like a flower or like a tree. Whenever you have a small tree or the tree is beginning to grow, it's easier to mold it and direct it in the way that you want, right? Because it's smaller, it's it's flexible, it's just developing. So in the stage where Mr. Sylvin is, they are more attentive. They are more in that space in which
Their brain are just
They
like
can be
sponge.
influenced.
yes, they
just-
can be
Yeah,
influenced.
easily influenced. They learn anything quick.
Exactly. So that's a very crucial stage of their life, and it's seen many times that whenever a student jumps to college to sixth form, it's a bit hard. It's more difficult to try to change them. I'm not saying that you cannot change them, but it takes more. Whenever they reach in the stage where Mr. Gilberto teaches, it's far more challenging than where Mr. Sylvin is. So
To influence.
to influence them. So it goes back. It goes back to like what Hazel said. It takes the teacher, it takes the parents, it takes the community. And I like the way in which Mr. Sylvin took that pressure off him. It's not only the teachers, he
Not
said.
only the teachers.
It's not only the teachers, right?
No, because
It's-
right
but
now,
it's true,
it's true.
Es un trabajo del maestro que nos debe enseñar.
It's-
Not only my job, it's the parents' job, the community job as well.
It's actually most of the parents' job than
Exactly.
yours.
right. But as well, there are children that, regardless of what the teacher, what the community, what the parents, if they want to do something, they have goals and they have perspective, and it's hard to change them. But I really think that the youth, of course, are the future for our country. Um, Me working at the bank, I have had many experiences, and we go, before this COVID, we used to go to the high schools. We used to go to the schools to motivate them. I think one time, um, Mr. Gilberto asked me, um, why we go to schools. Um, we as a credit union, we try to be different. We try to be different than the banks, and that is one of our major differences, that we have a committee that goes from school to school. Some people might say, but um, what are children? What a child can save? But it's not. It's not really the money,
The
but
intention.
it's intention,
Yeah.
and it's the influence, and it's what we are trying to mold them to be, to save, to save, to save, to save. When we used to go to school, we always used to tell them, if you start to save right now, when you reach standard 6, um, for example, an example, a few days from now, we will be giving student grant to our membership. In order for them to receive that student grant, they have to meet some criteria. So that's why we try to encourage them from a young age. And whenever we get used to something from a young age, it's easy to continue doing it, rather than starting at an older age. It's more challenging. So if we start to save at a young age, we will see it as something normal. When we start to work, we will know, you know what, from my paycheck, I have to save $50. And it's something, it becomes a habit, and that's what we really want to portray to the children. And like I said, many we encourage young people to come bank with us, for us to help them. If they have businesses, if they have something that they would want to do, we encourage it. We encourage it. Like I said, they are the future, and sometimes we might think that their ideas are not as common as the previous generation, but they have new ideas, and they have brilliant ideas that we should encourage them to do it, and we should encourage them to do it. And
I agree.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I believe, like, revolving around the same ideas that you've shared, I also believe that youth empowerment starts at a very young age. And I think from my experience, what I can take from my experience, youth empowerment came from my parents. Right? That in my experience. Maybe some of you might relate. I always think if I didn't have the parents, or the discipline that my parents instilled on me, or the practices they forced me to do, maybe I wouldn't be the person I am. Right?
Excuse me, sorry to
Sylvin,
cut you short,
you
right?
just put on me.
No, just to add what you were saying, right?
Before
think-
you lose the thought.
Before I forget, right? Before I forget. I think what Gilberto wants to say is that yes, the child should be you should tell the child, right?
Don't forget.
You have rights as well. Yes, you have rights that will empower you, but as you have responsibilities that fall under that right. So, for example, you have the right to play. Yes, we're not saying no, but as you have the responsibility to study,
There is time for everything.
there's time for everything, and that's something that maybe parents as well should encourage their kids in doing, right? Just like what Mr. Gilberto said, their parents grow them in a maybe in a perfect way. This is one of the most perfect
people?
like most of the
Perfect.
one of the most law-abiding citizens that I know.
Here's the like.
Where's the lie, right? No, but you're right. Maybe we're one of the we know, or I'm including as well you three. You three,
Okay.
right? I know your parents grow you good. My parents grow me well as well.
Oh, that's true.
Their level of discipline was good, right? Because of that, that's why maybe because
Me myself is perfect.
That
No.
is
Perfect.
no, that's, you say don't you already
Alright,
cut
let me
me.
help you. Let me help you. Speaking on youth empowerment, right? I'm sure some of you are youths are asking, okay, how can I empower myself? Right? Like I said, in my personal case, I believe that I became empowered by actions that my parents did. For example, I remember standard 3, standard 4, something like that. I was, 7, 8, something like that. And every day I came from school, my mom always asked me, what homework do you have? And my answer can never be, no, I always had to do something, right? And I remember many times my mom, okay, do your homework. And I'm like, you know what? Let me go play a little bit. My neighbor actually used to come and tell me, you know what? Let's go play. Miss Reese, can you leave Jill to come and play? Right? And my mom said, no.
No.
No. And my mom never bent. Never bent. And for that I thank her. Because that is a huge part of who I am. People that know me know that if I have 1,000 important things to do, as much as I would want to play and have fun, I will not. Right? Because it really instilled that concept of priority.
I can attest to that.
It really instilled the concept of priority. And there is where the youths begin to empower themselves. Because that is a trait that you take on, and you have the tools to become empowered. Discipline is a tool. Prioritizing your responsibilities is a tool. Right? There are many tools. Learning to work at a young age. Right? The last podcast I even told you guys, I remember I was 13 or 14 weighing flour and rice at a little shop. That I wouldn't become rich. It wasn't a salary, but it's just the concept of empowerment. Now, how youths can empower themselves right now, I personally believe is, yes, education, either in school or outside of school. Right now, honestly, you could go on YouTube and empower yourself. You can learn a trade. You can learn a skill. You don't know that, and here is where, like I said, the tools. What type of young people would it take? What caliber of person would it take to say, you know what? I want to empower myself. I want to be someone. What can I do? Let me learn how to manage my time. Time management on YouTube. You know what? Most will say, maybe I'm wrong. You know what most will say? I have time. I want to be rich. I want to have a good job. Make I browse TikTok right now. Right? Or make I go play one game. Right? Make I do this. Make I do that. Make I go. that is why I want to introduce the concept of having tools,
That's the key.
right? Tools. When I'm bored, when I'm bored, I learn. I watch, I try to learn about my religion. I try to learn on history. I try to learn on DIYs, right? Last night, I was learning how they make bridges in deep water. Yesterday I was watching videos, right? And something called dewatering, right? Concepts I didn't know, right? I'm not an engineer, but at least I know, right? And this is how I empower myself. But like again, to empower yourself, you need certain tools, right? And I believe that these tools should come from the parent first and then the teacher. Yes, ma'am?
But the key point is that we have the tools, but how we decide to use the tools. Because
Very true.
I see many times, for example, you mentioned we have technology. With a phone, we can do many good things with it, but we can also waste our time with it. And I recall when I was growing up, when I used to come from school, from college, I think I got a phone till when I was in sixth form probably. But when I used to reach from school, we used to do homework, and then after that, we play football, we go play volleyball, we play marbles. It's different. Right now, I could see someone 4 years old that already knows how to use YouTube. And they're like this.
And fast too. Close, open, slide, everything
better
fast.
than we.
Fast.
So that's
Kids
the
are-
key there.
Kids are burning with phones right
That's
now.
the key there.
And I
That's
honestly
the
think that
key.
there is nothing wrong. Even I personally feel, right, in my opinion, I feel like there's nothing wrong with a kid being perfectly stable with a phone at 3. The point
What
is what you
You
do.
do.
Exactly.
What if you, like you said, if someone wants to
Use it.
empower themselves, they do it. I think the mentality of this generation is that you don't need a degree to be successful. It is true, but what are you doing with the time that you're not studying? I don't think that
That's a good point.
I don't think that Jeff Bezos, those millionaires, became rich by being on TikTok just watching
Or even the
videos.
successful people in Belize.
They weren't all day.
You don't have to
Okay,
go that far.
okay, they didn't get a degree, but they weren't all day on TikTok. It's
Share memes all day on Facebook.
it's what you do with
I
your
already have a
time
degree.
that counts.
True.
It's what you do with your time that counts. Yes, you don't need a degree, but also what you're doing with the technology that you have. Learn something new, new skills, new stuff to empower yourself. I'm a youth. I don't know much to say, but all I can say is that you should never give up and just try. That's
I
all
remember
can say.
I was 19, recently graduated from 17. I graduated 17 I think. 17, 18, something like that, from my bachelor's. And I said, what do I do now? I need to save some money to do a master's. Okay, I got a job. Many people, that's enough. Oh, what are you doing on weekends? Why do this, do that? But I enjoy myself because I did work hard. I work hard and I pay my masters, so I need to have my leave break.
Work hard, play hard.
Work hard, play hard. No, you have it wrong. While I was working to pay my masters and doing my masters, instead of playing hard, I was working extremely harder because every week or every chance I had, I was on EDX completing certificate courses, diplomas. And thanks to that, when I submit a resume, education, employment, and here are my list of all the certificates I also have. That is how you empower yourself, right? That is how you empower yourself. Doesn't matter at what point in your life you are. It could be 13, 14, 15. I almost hit 15. Oh my gosh, Mr. Che never teach me, man. Also, you can find a way, right? And the last thing I want to say is coming back to the technology. I remember when my dad had just gotten a computer for us at home. At the time, we didn't have internet, right? Internet was. We are the generation that lived without internet. Right? I think
have
yes,
the
man.
Encarta.
I used to use that too. I used to use that too.
Encarta.
When we
I
were
remember all the games you couldn't play on laptop. I mean, like checkers, chess. I mean,
Solitaire.
yes.
ping ball,
Ping ball. Yes. I remember.
when we were bored, my dad didn't say, "Oh, here is a PlayStation. Here is this. Let's go to here. Let's shop." My dad said, "Here is Encarta CD games."
Yep.
Right? And
Educational
all of the
games.
Encarta games were educational. All of them. Learning about plants, learning about animals, learning about the rain cycle, learning about fruits.
It was
Always
different.
education.
It
It
was
was
different.
different.
It was
It was
different. Man.
Right? So the message that I want to leave you guys is youth empowerment can start at any age, but well, if you're a child, it starts with the parents, and everyone will be a parent at one point. So it's good that we hear it even as a son or as a daughter. You will be one day, right? So it's good that you understand that as a parent you will have the most responsibility aside from a teacher, but it starts from yourself, right? At the youngest of ages, prepare your tools, right?
I think a challenge also that many young people are facing is depression. That's not. It's something that okay that people might not take serious or that is not really out there, but it's something very bad that can really, I don't know, can demotivate you and make you lose all all ambitions you have in life.
But I want to share something and then we talk about it. Do you think that young people are more depressed at maybe Israel's generation or younger than they were at our age? What I'm trying to say is, do you think the newer generation gets depressed easily than us?
I I
Easier
think
than us, sorry.
I think maybe because our lives didn't revolve around social media. One, two, we had more time to play around, play outside,
Be social.
be
in
social.
person, in person.
I think what damages your mental state is trying to live a life that you see other people live and you can't. And it all goes to social media. Spending so much time watching your friend, oh she's in San Pedro, oh she's in Kikaka, and you can't do that. That can
And you
also,
idolize all your favorite celebrities and influencers.
they're having this, you're having that, and you can't. That can also lead to depression.
What do you think?
I think that's what as it is saying is right, but then it's all up to your mind, man. Depression, of course, what you can say is a state of in
It's a sickness,
Yeah,
it's
it's
an
a
illness.
sickness, right? Right. But then it's all up to you if you want to really give up easily and fall under depression.
No, we can debate about that.
It's
It,
debatable. It's debatable.
it's not all in your head
You think so?
because maybe you might think because you haven't gone through it, but having a constant sadness, it's not something that can easily go away. I know of someone who had it and it was very rough for their family, not being able to find answers, not being able to find cure, and it just leaving out of nowhere also. As fast as it came, as fast it left. I think that depression is something really serious and
ugly.
something that the older generation doesn't understand. They have that mentality of go read a book or go outside. Okay, you can't go outside and you can't read a book, but just for that time the problems
And
will
that's
go.
my point. Music, I believe, plays a huge role. We have music that teenagers are exposed to at 13, 14 saying, I just want to put 10 shots on my head and I just want to die and I'm sad and it's like idolizing.
Or the song that's saying, I only want to die today, like stuff like
It's
that.
I feel like it's idolizing the idea of sadness, depression, right? On TikTok, there is a whole genre of wanting to brag your depression or showing that you're crying, right? And I don't know. I feel like we are idolizing. Well, not we. The young generation is idolizing the idea of being depressed and sad, and the music promotes that. Right? That's what I feel, and I understand where Sylvin was coming from because he is of this generation, right? Every one of us has gone through something,
Some type of sadness.
some type of sadness,
that.
right?
Mhm.
And my question is, do you think that if we take someone like maybe Sylvin or myself or anyone, Michael, and we put the same amount of, we have two identical people. The only thing, no, we have an identical problem, but we have two people. One of the younger generation, one of the newer generation. And everything equal, we put the same amount of pressure, the same amount of problems on top of them.
But
do you think they will be? Do you think they will be different?
But I think sadness is one thing and depression is
Mhm.
another. Because depression
But they're tied.
is,
They're
it
tied.
is like a mental
No.
sickness.
Yes.
And I think if someone of the older generation does get depression, I think that's the only way they understand the length or how horrible that sickness actually is.
No, I think the older generation understands depression. I just think that the older generation handles it better because like I said, there is a person that might be a child at 14. Maybe the father, when he was 14, went through the same thing. Let's say it's abuse. Let's say there's a boy that was abused by his father at 14. Now, there is a boy being abused by a father at 14. I think, I may be wrong, that the one of the old generation will persevere, get over it quicker. That's what I feel. I might be wrong.
Feel like this generation just after.
I think so, And
I-
I know that,
Wait, I
it's
think
not the most popular
no,
opinion.
no, but okay.
Yeah,
Besides depression, I think that the new generation and the society is very soft. One, they get carried away too much by their feelings and heart, and thirdly, they get carried away about what other people are saying about the situation. That's what I think. Besides depression, that's what I think about this newer generation.
Let me give you
They're quick to jump on the newest trend of something.
Let me give you an example. I know this young man, 18 or 19, something like that. His girlfriend for years left him. He was depressed. Right? According to him. I'm not saying he was medical. I'm not the doctor that diagnosed him with depression, but he said he was
Not
depressed.
me, right? Because I 20
Not
now.
you.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't ready? Wait, I didn't
It
know
was
that.
you, yes, it was you. The young boy did not go to school, did not eat, did not talk to his friends, just isolated in his room.
It was me.
You sure? You sure? You sure it wasn't me?
Isolated in his room and kept to himself. Right? Have you gone through a tough time like that?
Yes.
Have you?
Yep.
Have you? Me? Yes. And the difference was that I still went to work. I still ate. Even though you might feel, and I'm not talking about relationship, it could be family, it could be death. Even though you might feel this is the most horrible thing that has happened to my life, there are people out there
Going
who
through
will see-
worse.
Going
who
through
will
worse.
see, you know what? Yes, but I need to continue empowering myself and continue building my life.
And I think at that point
Some
in
people
time,
break through that wall easier than others, and that's what I'm trying
and
to
I
say.
think at that point in time is where you need to empower yourself more, know your worth.
Yeah. Like I said, some people
You don't think I'm going longer?
some people are hit with that wall. Stop. Stop going to work. Stop going to school. Stop talking to people. Stop enjoying my time. Stop talking to family. I'm depressed, I'm sad. Maybe they're not depressed. Maybe they're just saying that I'm depressed, I'm sad. There are some people that are going through things harder than him and are waking up every day at 6, going to work to empower themselves because they have a goal, they have ambition, they have
With a smile on their face.
with a smile on their face, going through something worse.
I think
And I think it's just depends on everyone.
Okay,
Everyone
one-
is different.
one thing that the gym trainer told me that the best therapy for depression is gym, right? Okay, but besides gym. Wait, but besides that, I think that when you're going, let's say, to a breakup or something, the best thing to do is find a hobby. Don't stay by yourself and socialize, because being by yourself won't help you and won't help the state of mind that you're in. Having a hobby will give you some sort of distraction, and being with your friends will give you some sort of happiness.
Coming back to, I agree with what you guys have been saying, but coming back to depression, I think depression is something very severe, something that we take very lightly, in the way that I could even say that it's a silent killer. Because
It is.
the way you handle depression, I handle depression, he handle depression, you handle depression, it's different. I could be depressed right now, and you guys will know.
You don't see Sylvin?
There are people out there that we meet day to day that are depressed, but we don't know it. There are people out there that go through a lot of things, and we wouldn't have the slightest idea of what they are going through. But I think that whenever someone is depressed, they shouldn't hold it in. I think that's the worst thing
It is the worst.
they can do. Because whenever someone holds things in, it builds up. It builds up, it builds up, and we are strong. We are strong individuals, but we can just hold
Someone.
so much.
Yep.
I'm not saying if you have problems, post it in social media so that everyone no. Take your friends, take people that you are close with, talk to them. It has, you have to do it.
They're going to help.
You have to do it. You might think, oh, they can't help me, they don't know what I'm going, they don't have an idea. You would be surprised that
They've gone through worse.
they have gone through worse. So, like I said, depression, it's very severe. Some people, when they get depressed, they go to drink, or like you said, they stay in their room and lock themselves up. But there are worse cases. There are cases in which, because of depression, people get anxiety, people get addicted to things, or even suicide. You know? Why? Because they do not seek help.
Yeah.
I believe that
You do not seek help.
I believe that many people are ashamed of expressing, or they believe that it's a sign of weakness. So you know what? This and this is bothering me. I think that's the problem, and it shouldn't be a sign of weakness to go and speak to someone and tell them, you know what, this and this is my problem. Of course, you do have to choose who you go and express your feelings. If you do not have anyone close enough,
Don't go to Azela.
they are professionals.
Yep.
They are professional counselors.
That's why they exist.
And the only way someone can battle and surpass depression is by talking and by expressing themselves fully. Nothing of what I am feeling is ridiculous or makes no sense, because what makes
Or unique.
sense, exactly, what makes sense or what bothers me doesn't bother you, doesn't bother him. You know, all of us have different feelings. So something can depress me, but that doesn't depress you. So that's crucial. When it comes to depression, that's crucial to speak up. And like what Hazel said, you need to find distraction in order to stop thinking about something. You have to override it with something positive.
Well, not have to, but you should override something positive, because
Exactly.
many youths and people override it with alcohol
With
and
drugs.
parties and
Exactly.
this and Instagram
Exactly.
And I think
and trying
something
to show that something they're not.
I think something important that Mike said is don't keep it in
Mhm.
and cry if you have to. One, I
Seek
remember,
help.
I remember you telling me though something that some few years ago I was going through some sadness, and I remember something that Jill told me. Why cry if you have to cry? Even if you put your head on the pillow and bawl, do it because you need to take it out. Holding it in is not good, and crying doesn't make you any weaker or any less of a man. You continue. Gonna mention something.
There is a saying that goes, I think it's a very common saying, an idle mind
The devil's workshop.
is the devil's workshop. If someone that's depressed just sit down, just sit down and lock themselves up, what would they be thinking?
You'll be,
Of the same problem, of the same
you'll
problem,
be drowning in their own
over
negative
and
thoughts.
over and over, thinking about 1,000 ways in which they could have done things different, or 1,000 things they would be thinking. If you try to do new things, if you try to socialize, I think you guys have mentioned it too. What is something that you wanted to always do? You should go and do it. For example, when I was younger, I went to IT vet. That's how I learned welding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I can pray to just like this,
I'm just kidding. You know how I learned welding? YouTube. We go back to what we were talking about, the tools. I didn't even know how to set up a welding machine. But I went and I googled how to weld. Bought the machine, went and bought the tools, and there I go welding.
And look at that, right? Look at that. Do you think? I'm not picking anyone. Do you think that a person younger would say, or the new generation would say, I feel sad. Let me learn how to weld. Right? It's hard.
Make I go buy some liquor.
But I think, like I said, the message that we want to put out there is one, the first one, the most important one, get help. Whether it be having 1, 2, 3 friends, 4 friends that truly do care about you to take it all out. Whether it be seeking professional help, right? A psychiatrist, psychologist, a doctor. But we need to get help because you can't. That is a battle you can never win alone. That is a battle you can never win alone.
Mike mentioned suicide. I want to get into that topic, but I think the video is already taken a little bit too long, so I think that should be a topic for another segment. But one thing that I wanted to say is that I think it's easier for a male to commit suicide than a female, and I think that's statistics.
I posted something like that on Facebook.
Okay, I think we should talk about that another day because we can go deeper in that. No, to come to like a little comedy section.
Just to conclude, will we go to the next topic?
Yes.
Okay, just want to close off. To close off, depression can lead you two ways. You either take the easy way out or the challenging way. But
The hard road being like the road in Corazon.
you know,
Somebody get it?
challenging in the way that you want to learn more things, you want to do betterment in your life. But like they say, easy come, easy goes. Suicidal, drinking, that's easy. To go and buy a liquor, that's easy.
Go on party
To go
and
and
get
party,
drunk
that
and
is easy. But what would be the final outcome?
Your life.
It's challenging to learn a new hobby. It's challenging to
pursue academic learning.
exactly. But what will be the final outcome? You can always, oh, I did this with my free time. I built
And you will
that.
have it in your head. It will make you stronger. Going
Exactly.
through this, I got a certificate, I got a degree, I won this. So what will you say?
Yep.
While I was this, I wasted my life drinking and partying. I wasted a year of my life to this. When in that same year you could have gotten a degree.
So that's the point I want to make. If you are going through depression and you find yourself finding the easy way, that's try something different and challenge yourself.
Reach out to people that can guide you the right way.
People that love you.
People that, and look at the people who
Don't go to a cell.
look at the people you look up to. Right? People
Wait.
who you want to be with.
No,
That is
but you
good.
also have to be careful with that because remember, people are idolizing people that are.
Oh, that's true.
That
I
they,
don't know
you,
why I said
eh,
that.
imagine I'm going through depression and the person I look up to.
Bryce
Go,
Hall.
someone who goes out every weekend to drink and get
Yeah,
drunk. They
that's
will
true,
be
that's true, that's true.
no,
But
that's
that's not what I
you,
meant.
you need to
Look
find
up to
people.
Sylvin.
You need to find people that love you and want the best for you, not Sylvin.
Alright, and I guess with that we're gonna end this episode of the podcast. I think we had really productive ideas and speeches. Anything else you want to
Thank you, Mr. Mike. Thank you, Mr. Sylvin. Any final words?
We're good.
With that, with that we say good night, everyone.
Night.